Hi, my name's Megan Hamden, and I'm the social worker and attendance counselor at Sandwich Secondary School. And today I'm introducing you to a presentation on getting motivated to learn at home. And the reason motivation is a topic that I've chosen is because I have lots of students, parents, and teachers asking me about how to engage students more at home in their learning. And motivation is a word that's often used to describe sort of the lack of motivation to be learning at home during this challenging time. So I'm going to walk us through 4 different topics. And because these videos are short, less than 15 minutes, I've divided them in 4 areas. Motivation and learning at home. So we'll talk specifically about motivation and then how to kind of set us up to learn at home. Planning and time management, which is a big topic with a lot of really useful skills and tips in it. We'll talk about sleep because sleep is really important, and it's also an area that when motivation is brought to my attention as a concern for a student, oftentimes I learn that sleep is a problem as well, or an issue for the student. And then I have maybe some extra tips if you're a parent and you'd like to learn a little bit more about how you can help your student. And then also really important for parents and students to learn about when more help is needed, how you can kind of get some extra support. Okay, so part 1, we'll talk about motivation and learning at home. And I put up this image of this cycle that can be, a positive cycle or a negative cycle. And it's really important when you think about motivation to consider that it's not something that is always just inside of us. There are many things that we don't really want to do that we do. And there's a reason why we still do it even when we don't want to. And there's a reason why we don't do the things we don't, or the things that we maybe need to be doing or should be doing. And so it begins with an action. It begins with taking action to do the things that maybe we're not so motivated to do. What happens is we get results. So we do something and we think, I didn't want to do it, but I'm really glad that I did. And that's the positive reinforcement. So when we feel that sense of achievement or that sense of relief when this task that we really didn't want to do got done, we feel really good. And this cycle can actually help us to keep doing the things that we don't really want to do because we remember that it actually felt good after when we were glad that we did it. And it works in the same way as a negative cycle. So when we avoid doing the thing that we don't want to do, we don't get results. We don't get a sense of achievement. If anything, we feel not good because this item is sort of maybe looming over us as a task that we really should be doing or need to be doing. And this comes up a lot when it comes to learning from home because certainly there's tasks that are due and things that are required of you for your courses and for learning. And so that negative reinforcement comes in and that we don't feel good and the cycle continues. Okay, so the best thing that we can do is take action. And the rest of this 4-part series is going to speak to that piece of taking action. And we'll learn a little bit more about what it means to what it is to take action or what we can do to kind of get through that original or that initial piece, because getting started is often the hardest part. So motivation. So we can't ever wait to feel motivated. So if we wake up in the day and we know there's something that we need to do, it would be not good to decide that we're going to wait until we feel like doing it or saying, I don't feel like doing it now, I'll do it later. Because when we do that, we often don't end up doing it later. So the best thing that we can do is sort of anticipate this resistance. We can anticipate feeling a lack of motivation and then plan around it. And a great way to plan around it is to actually be accountable to somebody. Let somebody know, whether it's a parent, a supportive friend, or another supportive person in your life, or your teacher. So if there's something that you need to get done that day, let somebody know you're planning to do it so that they can maybe check in with you and ask how it's going. Or they might follow up with you to see that it was indeed done. And so it's really important to kind of let somebody in on your plan to take action. Okay. And then also not be hard on yourself. So when it comes to taking action, it's not going to be perfect. It takes time to develop new habits. And if learning from home isn't something that's ever felt that good for you or has always been a challenge, it's going to take time to get out of that. It's going to take time to develop the new habits so that might not be your favorite thing, but that you can develop some skills to be able to do it, because that's what's best for you. Okay, so we're going to take that into what we can do in our actual learning from home environment to help us be successful and to actually help engage some motivation inside of us or set us up for success. So the first thing is you want to choose a location based on your learning preferences. So this might take some practice to really find out what works for you. But if the real silent environment feels uncomfortable, you might want to consider having something like some instrumental music, something that will help kind of keep you engaged in your learning environment. Things like having full quiet might be best for many of us. So making sure that it is a really quiet environment that is free of distraction. And so when we think about what learning environment might be best for us, as relational beings, as humans, we sometimes actually do best when we are with others, or many times when we're in a learning environment with others. For some of us, it's best that we're in a space to ourselves. Others, we might like to be in a space where someone else is learning, or there's some other, I guess, person around us that we can check in with or feel connected to while we're learning. Eliminate distractions. So block time-wasting websites with apps like Stay Focused. That's one for Chrome. And then Self-Control is one you can download if you're a Mac user. So these are things that you could use if you find yourself getting distracted with websites that waste a lot of your time. Try maybe blocking some of these websites through these apps. And it's you get to kind of set up how it's blocked and what that means for your device. But it might be something to consider. And another thing is, of course, our phones. So getting our phones out of the room, silencing our phones, turning off certain apps, things like that. Okay. Letting people know we're busy. So if you have somebody that might be giving you a call or expecting to engage with you at a certain time while you're trying to learn, make sure you let them know that that's a time that you're not available. And then you want your learning environment to be comfortable. So you want to be in a seat that you can sit in for a long period of time, but you don't want it to be too comfortable. And too comfortable would be something like your bed or a couch that you would typically take a nap on. The reason we don't want that is because we want to save those spaces for sleeping, because sleep is really important. And we don't want your body to be tricked into believing that when you're trying to learn that you're also trying to relax, okay? And you want to have good lighting. So you want to make sure if possible, that you have some natural lighting coming in, and also that you have something like a lamp when needed. Okay. You want to have easy access to all of your supplies with you, so that you're not getting up and leaving in the middle of, let's say, your synchronous learning time, or that you're not leaving your space and then getting distracted along the way and not coming back. Okay. And then a little bit more about your learning environment. You can get fun and creative by personalizing your space. So add decorations, or if you have some artwork that helps you to feel inspired, that could keep you motivated. Okay. And if possible, the learning space should only be used for learning. So that's actually a big one when it comes to our bedrooms. If at all possible, learning outside of the bedroom would be a really good idea, or making sure that your learning space is separate from your resting space. Okay, so that may not be possible for all of us depending on our home, but might be something for you to consider. If you're using a shared space, something like a home office, try and see if you could develop a schedule to stagger, when you can use it and when other people in your home are learning or working and when they can use it. So doing that on a schedule can be really important, so that you know when you can anticipate having that space. And then having something like a box or a bag, something that's really easy to store your materials and move if you need to move your space, or if your space is a multi-purpose space, so something like a kitchen table. When it's time to utilize the kitchen table as a kitchen table, it's really important that you're able to gather your supplies and move them. Okay. So that's all for part one, and next up we'll have part two on planning and time management.